July 1st, 2026. Atlanta, England vs. DR Congo. Round of 32. 75 minutes gone. England are losing. 1-0 down. A team ranked 54th in the world, a team with a combined squad value that wouldn't buy Harry Kane's right boot, has led for 68 minutes. Then Anthony Gordon picks up the ball on the left. He slides it through. Kane arrives at the exact moment the pass does. First touch, left foot, low finish, 1-1. 11 minutes later, Gordon again. Same side, same run. Kane, first touch, same finish, opposite corner. 2-1, England survive. 2 days later, Gary Neville is on Sky Sports, post-match analysis. He's been watching Kane for 20 years, first as an opponent, then as a pundit. He has discussed every England striker of his generation, Shearer, Lineker, in retrospect, Owen, Rooney. And he says something that stops the discussion. When you say striker, 100%. That's putting him above unbelievable players like Alan Shearer, Gary Lineker, Jimmy Greaves. He's the best. England's greatest ever striker. Not their greatest ever player. Neville was careful about that. But the greatest striker the country has ever produced. The sentence landed like it was supposed to be controversial. But it wasn't, because the defenders had known it for years. Harry Kane turned 33 years old in March 2026. He arrived at this World Cup having just won the European Golden Boot with 36 goals in 31 Bundesliga matches. He had scored 61 goals across all competitions for Bayern Munich in the 2025-26 season. He had scored 5 hat-tricks. He won the German domestic treble. He arrived at the 2026 World Cup with 82 international goals, England's all-time record. And yet the conversation around Kane going into this tournament had a familiar undertone. The 2024 Euros. The missed penalty against France in Qatar 2022. The question of whether Kane could deliver at a major tournament the way he delivers at club level. Whether the system around him was good enough to extract what his club form suggested he was capable of. That conversation has now been answered. 6 goals in 5 matches, including a brace against Croatia, the record-breaking 11th World Cup goal against Panama that passed Gary Lineker, 2 crucial goals to rescue the DR Congo match, and a penalty in the 3-2 win over Mexico. England are in the quarterfinals, facing Norway in Miami on July 11th. But here is the argument this video is making, the one that matters beyond the scoreboard. None of this is new. Kane has always been this player. The numbers at club level have said so for a decade. The defenders who played against him have said so privately for the same length of time. The thing that changed in this tournament is not Kane. It's the system around him. To understand why the system matters, you need to understand what Kane was operating within for most of his England career, and what changed when Tuchel arrived. Manager 1, Gareth Southgate, 2016 to 2024. Southgate built England into a coherent defensive unit. He got them to the final of the Euros in 2021. He got them to the final again in 2024. His approach was defensively disciplined, structurally sound, and the detail that caused endless debate, frequently hesitant to commit fully to attack, even when the personnel available made attacking the obvious choice. The specific problem with Kane and Southgate's system was not tactical, it was positional. Kane, for club football, has operated as a deep-lying center forward for most of his career at Tottenham and Bayern. He drops off, receives between the lines, creates for others, then arrives late into the box. Lineker described it directly. He's not a traditional center forward. He creates things. His awareness, positioning, technical ability, he's unique. Southgate's England asked Kane to play differently. Higher, more central, more static. The system was not built around what Kane did best. It was built around defensive security, with Kane as the point of a counter rather than the creative axis of an attack. The results, in terms of Kane's individual tournament output, reflected this. 3 goals at the 2018 World Cup after a hat-trick against Panama masked a frustrating semi-final. 1 goal at the 2020 Euros. 2 goals in Qatar, including the missed penalty against France that ended the campaign. Good numbers in aggregate, but not the numbers his club form suggested he should be producing. Manager 2, Thomas Tuchel. 2025, present. Tuchel's first act as England manager in October 2024 was to watch footage. Not of the opponents, of Kane. He told the press what he saw. Harry is the striker that every team needs. His movement, his link play, the way he holds the ball, he creates space for the players around him that other strikers don't create. We have to build from him. Build from him. Not build around him in the sense of serving him as the star. Build from him as the structural foundation, the player whose movement creates the space that Bellingham, Saka, and Rashford run into. That distinction is the entire tactical difference between the two managers' use of Kane. And in 5 matches at this World Cup, the results of that distinction are visible in the numbers. Here is where honesty is required, because the argument that England finally figure out how to use Kane implies a failure, and that failure needs to be named. England had Harry Kane available at his peak from 2015 to 2024. 9 years, 5 major tournaments. And across most of that period, the system around him was not designed to extract what his club performances demonstrated he was capable of. Why? Part of the answer is structural. The Premier League era has produced a generation of English football that prioritized defensive discipline and counter-attacking football at international level, a reaction to the naive, expansive England teams of the 1990s and 2000s that went out early because they attacked without organization. Southgate's England was a correction to that instinct. It was the right correction for a long time. It got them to 2 finals. But the correction overcorrected. In removing the naivety, it also removed the capacity to build genuinely complex attacking patterns around the most complete center-forward England had produced since Alan Shearer. Bellingham articulated it from inside the squad. He's the best England player of all time. He's the one who showed up more than anyone, more than any England player. You just don't doubt him, as you know he's going to make a difference in the game. That sentence, "You don't doubt him," is the sentence that should have been the foundation of every England system since 2018. It took until 2025 and a German manager to fully implement it. Go back to where we started. Gary Neville, post-Congo, July 2nd, 2026. He doesn't say Kane has become England's greatest striker. He says he is. Present tense, as though this were already established and simply needed articulating publicly. Because it was established. Not in punditry or press conferences, in Premier League penalty areas across 10 years. The defenders who have faced Kane, Virgil van Dijk, Ruben Dias, John Stones in training, have talked about it in interviews and podcasts for years, in different phrasings that amount to the same assessment. He is almost impossible to mark because he is never where you expect him to be. Van Dijk said in 2023, he reads the game so well and finds space in areas you don't expect him to be. That's what makes him so difficult. By the time you've worked out where he is, the ball is already to him, and he's turning. That description is not of a player who scores goals. It's of a player who solves spatial problems that most center forwards don't even recognize as existing. The movement that creates space for Bellingham and Saka at this World Cup is the same movement Van Dijk was describing in 2023. It was always there. Neville wasn't announcing a discovery. He was finally saying publicly what the defenders had been dealing with privately since Kane was 22 years old. July 11th, 2026. Hard Rock Stadium, Miami. England versus Norway. Erling Haaland has 7 World Cup goals. He eliminated Brazil in the round of 16, 2 goals, both from headers, both in the kind of central positions that a defensive team creates when it's trying to contain pace on the counterattack. Haaland is a different kind of striker to Kane. He is direct, physical, devastating in the box. He wins headers. He finishes with power. He is the striker that defensive teams most clearly understand how to defend. Kane is the striker that defensive teams most clearly understand how to defend in theory and struggle to defend in practice. The Norway match will tell us something specific about this World Cup and about Kane's legacy in it. Because Norway will set up to deny England the space that Bellingham and Saka want, which means the entire burden of creating danger in tight areas will fall to Kane's movement, to the 33-year-old's ability to drop, find pockets, draw defenders, and release teammates before the defense can reorganize. 6 goals in 5 matches. 1 ahead of Mbappe and Messi going into the quarterfinals. In a field that contains the 2 greatest players of this generation and most prolific striker in modern football, the 33-year-old Englishman is in the conversation. That was always the shape of the story. The World Cup is simply the moment where it became undeniable. There is a distinction between 2 kinds of player. The first kind begins to be feared and the world notices. The coverage builds. The statistics climb. The reputation catches up with the reality. The second kind is feared long before the world notices. The defenders already know. The scouts already know. The coaches who prepare against them already know. The public conversation simply hasn't caught up. Gary Neville, on July 2, 2026, said Harry Kane is England's greatest ever striker. He wasn't describing something new. He was articulating something that had been true for years, that the defenders who face Kane in Premier League penalty areas, in Champions League knockout matches, in Bundesliga away grounds across Germany, had understood privately since he was 22 years old. The England system, for most of a decade, didn't fully extract it. Tuchel's system does. These are the experiences that give you genuine belief, Tuchel said after the DR Congo match. He was talking about his team. But he was really talking about Kane, about the experience of watching a 33-year-old come off the bench to score 2 goals in the final 15 minutes of a World Cup knockout match and not even look surprised when the second one went in. There is a difference between a player who the world has started to fear and a player the world has finally caught up to fearing. Kane is the second kind. He always was. Here is the question I want you to answer. If Tuchel's system had existed in 2018, if England had built around Kane's movement rather than around Kane as a target, do you think they win that World Cup? Tell me in the comments. And if Norway ended on Saturday, come back and tell me if the answer changes.